A new KARE 11 investigation reveals Minnesota kids are being held for days, sometimes weeks at a time, in solitary confinement. It's a controversial practice severely restricted in many other states.
But not here. And experts tell Lauren Lemanchak it's not only damaging kids, it's putting the rest of us at risk.
Hey, y'all.
This is Emmett Long at 13.
One thing I gotta say for you.
A boy who already lived with severe mental illness, who was the victim of abuse that included being choked and burned. A boy whose behaviors escalated into felony theft and terroristic threats, crimes so serious they landed him in juvenile prison at Red Wing.
I was the youngest kid in there or whatever, but...
Today, Emmett is 19 and talking to us from the Hennepin County Jail, facing years of prison time on a gun charge. But it's what happened in between.
I was never in a regular unit because I was in segregation.
That experts say harms kids like Emmett, makes their behavior worse, and makes us all less safe.
I was 14.
14 years old, mentally ill, and spending long periods in solitary confinement.
You sit in the cell for 22 hours a day.
In his young life, Emmett estimates he spent a full year in solitary.
It really messed me up mentally. Like, I ain't gonna lie, when I got out of jail, I didn't even know how to act.
No one disputes juvenile jails can be tough places, and there are times when kids need to be separated to keep everyone inside safe. But there is broad agreement among both mental health experts and even criminal justice leaders that long periods of solitary for the sake of punishment isn't just wrong, it makes kids worse. Sue Abderholden leads the state's top mental health advocacy organization.
That is so damaging to a developing brain. It's just damaging to the brain. So you're not going to make things better, you're going to make things worse.
Minnesota's own Department of Corrections, which runs Red Wing, agrees and told lawmakers why.
Isolating youth has severe impacts on their mental health while at the facility, increasing their risk for suicide, but it also has the potential to impact their mental health long after being released.
And yet, while DOC was testifying against the practice they call disciplinary room time, KARE 11 has discovered the long periods of isolation Emmett experienced at Red Wing were routine.
And it got to the point where I started doing very, very crazy things.
Public records don't tell us exactly how long each kid spends in solitary. But since 2018, KARE 11 has learned youth at Red Wing and other DOC licensed jails were ordered to solitary for a day or longer more than 7,500 times. Sometimes that isolation is much worse. At the 3 largest juvenile lockups, kids were ordered confined to solitary for 5 days or longer, nearly 700 times. And Hennepin County once sent a kid to solitary for 34 days. Kids like Noah, now 18, who describes what it's like.
You don't feel human. It's like being in an insane asylum. It like drives you crazy. All you do is just sit there and stare at the wall, and it's just horrible.
And this suicidal teen, punished for punching a guard by being isolated in this cell more than a week, only able to speak to his mom or even a social worker through a slit in the door.
Not okay. That's unacceptable. Things that are happening here that you're describing.
Paul Schnell, the DOC commissioner, acknowledges juvenile solitary confinement has been misused in Minnesota. He wants to severely restrict it.
Discipline is not on the table here.
So seclusion, isolation should never be used as punishment?
As punishment, no, it shouldn't. I believe that it has to be used for the purposes of safety and ultimately re-engaging them in programming. That's it.
There has been pushback. The leaders of juvenile jails sent lawmakers a letter stating the complete elimination of DRT will create an unsafe environment for residents, staff, and visitors. But for Schnell and so many others, the biggest concern is what happens when kids like Emmett, who've endured extreme isolation, get out.
We have to be focused on the right interventions at the right time so that we're all safer. That's what the juvenile justice system should be focused on.
Sometimes I get so mad, like I get banging my head on the cell.
Emmett says the effects of solitary followed him.
I didn't know right from wrong. I couldn't even function.
Last year, convicted in an aggravated robbery, still living with mental illness, and now back in jail. He thinks back on that kid he was at 14.
Did that segregation change your behavior at all?
No, it made it worse, actually. I feel like.
Emmett felt strongly about sharing his story and did so after consulting with his attorney. 23 states have already ended or restricted juvenile solitary, and Sunday night we'll show you how Colorado changed their system while making their jails safer and reducing the number of kids who reoffended after they were released. For KARE 11 Investigates, I'm Lauren Lemanchek.